Hey everybody, so I'm just going to jump in. So I just want to give you some tips on being with an addict in active addiction, or even being with an addict in recovery. Some of the tips that will help you to not make the same mistakes. Number one, don't have sex before marriage. You are going to be under curses if you have sex before marriage. I'm just telling you from my personal experience. I was under the threat of COVID and, oh my gosh, are we going to live, and blah, blah, blah. And the bottom line was, I had an apartment, he had an apartment, and he convinced me, let's save money, baby, for the wedding. Let's do this, let's do that. And the bottom line is, once you're cohabiting together and living together, the chance of you sleeping together is going to raise. So do not have sex before marriage, because you're going to be under curses, whether you realize it or not. The next thing is, don't believe the words of an addict, because most of what they say is lies and crap. So you need to really look at their behavior, look at their actions, and are their actions lining up to their words? And let them reveal their own truth by their lies and by them saying stuff that doesn't make sense. And when it doesn't make sense, usually it doesn't really make sense because it's a lie. Okay. So for example, something that an addict will do is they're going to, let's say that you have a time arrangement, and, I said, yes, I'll give you a ride from this time to this time. And he's like, okay, I'll be here at this point. And then I go to pick him up and he's not there. He's not there at the time that he said he was going to be there. And I've gone out of my way to go pick him up and rearrange my schedule so that I could be accommodating him to pick him up from work. Okay. But he's not there. And then when I go to the office and walk in after sitting outside for several minutes, and I go in, they're like, oh, he wasn't working today. So again, they're going to make a lie on a supposition that sounds good, that it's going to be believable. So I'm believing that he's going to his job. That's a reasonable thing for me to believe, considering that he has a job, right? But then they'll get caught up in their own lies and they forget who they told what to do. So he's telling me, yeah, baby, pick me up at this time. So I go to pick him up from his work. And that day he wasn't even working. And then he doesn't show up to get picked up at that time because he's doing drugs. He's hanging out with whores and he's doing drugs. That's what they do. Okay. The next thing is, addicts in active addiction are going to lie, steal, kill, and destroy. Whatever plans you have made as a couple, as an individual, before you met them, and whatever plans that you're making together, okay, he is going to destroy your life. He's going to destroy the life that you had before him. He's going to destroy the life that you are building together if he's in active addiction. Okay. And it's like an octopus. It's like they just grab at everything that they can grab at. And meanwhile, you're so busy living the life that you created before you met this person, you're not noticing, because you're actually living a life. You're not living a life of sin and addiction. You're actually living a life. So I'm seeing my clients. I'm, going about my business. I'm, doing my volunteer work. I'm meeting with friends. I have responsibilities with my church, etc. I'm doing all those things. So I'm busy. I'm keeping my home and making food and all these things, and I'm managing and balancing all those balls. Okay. And I'm not noticing that all of a sudden my jewelry is gone, because I'm not looking for my jewelry to be missing. Okay. So they're going to lie about everything, and they're going to, and even if you are the woman in their life, and this is where I just really want to make this clear. Okay. I knew him from when we were teenagers. Okay. So I knew him before all of the addiction, and he knew me, before all of his addiction. And so it was like, I knew him when he was a sweet, sweet man, like a sweet teenager who loved God, who loved the Bible. That's the Eric that I fell in love with. Okay. But the problem is, once he's tainted by the drugs and the music industry and everything that brings with it, the whores and, the late nights and the burning the candle at both ends and not knowing what day or evening it is and stealing from people and wrecking, hotel rooms, etc. All of that comes with the entire territory. The bottom line is, when he came to me, he said, I have 31 years clean and sober, baby. I haven't had a drink or a drug in 31 years. And then what he did was he introduced me to his entire posse of people that agreed with that story. So like, yeah, man, he's good. He hasn't had anything. He's for real. And meanwhile, the entire thing is a lie. And even the sponsor was under a spell. The sponsor was like, yeah, he's reliable. You can count on him. I've been with him for 5 years. He's on the right path, blah, blah. The bottom line is, everybody is presenting the story for you to look at and go, oh, wow, he's so good. He has that NA recovery. He's going to meetings every day. He has a sponsor. He's working his steps. He really has his act together. And meanwhile, it's all a show. It's a facade. Because someone who's in active addiction, all that other stuff is just fluff. They're just feeding you the mirage while they do what they want to do. Okay? So they're going to come up with believable stories, and I'm going to highlight this one, okay? Eric's thing was he was a heroin addict, and as a result of being a heroin addict, there are certain traits that heroin addicts are going to fulfill. But again, because I'm not a heroin addict, I knew nothing about drug addiction, I was completely naive and clueless, I had no idea what those telltale signs of being a heroin addict are, because it didn't apply to me. Now, he came up with a story that he had a narcolepsy sleep disorder. And the sleep disorder, that he needed the certain medication for the sleep disorder. We went to all these sleep doctors. He took all these sleep studies. So the whole point is, he painted this medical problem that he had so that I would feel sorry for him. And that I would believe that he had a medical condition. And the medical condition of sleep narcolepsy, he shouldn't drive, so I should give him rides to here and there, because it's a medical condition. Okay, and when he's on the nod, which is a heroin thing, I don't know about that. Well, on the nod is actually, he's hiding all that, saying, oh, his sleep medicine wore out, he forgot to take his pill at this time. So the bottom line is, I'm actually believing and thinking that the man that I fell in love with has a medical condition of sleep narcolepsy and these restless foot syndrome when he sleeps, like he kicks around or whatever. But the bottom line is, heroin addiction, that is his true problem. And he was covering it up with all these lies and all these stories to paint a picture of this incredible guy that he was when he was not. Okay. They will convince you that you are crazy. How many times did he change what I was talking about and turn it against me and then tell me that I was not making any sense and that I was, and he would just turn against me, and I would just be like, why are you picking on me right now? It doesn't make any sense. And I'm like, I'm not trying to get into an argument with you, Eric. Like, you're being a jerk right now, and I'm telling you that you're being a jerk, and I'm not going to just get in the Bible and go surrender to God, get on your knees, pray, and when you have come to your reality of being nice to me, then call me again, or then come see me face to face. But right now, just stop, okay? But the bottom line is, he was constantly trying to convince me that I'm crazy, that I'm being forgetful about things, and that I didn't do the task that I just did. So for example, I would be getting ready for my day, and I would be getting my supplies together and packing my bag, and I'm going to take this food with me, and I'm going to do this, and I've already made the coffee and the snacks and the lunch for me and him, etc. And the bottom line is, I put my money on the table with the bills I have to pay. I'm going to go get a money order for this thing and whatever, like all those things. I have everything lined up on the table. And what happens? I come back in the room, I wash my face, I come back in or whatever, and the $100 bill is gone. And I'm like, Eric, I just put this $100 bill to pay for these bills that I'm going to be paying today. I don't know what you're talking about, baby. There's no $100 bill. And he would literally straight-faced lie to me. And I was like literally thinking that I was being forgetful, that I hadn't done the task yet that I'd already completed because I already put that $100 on the counter. But this is what the narcissist, this is what the addict in active addiction is going to do to you to make you feel crazy when they're the ones that are manipulating the situation. They're going to butter you up. Another example is that he would draw a bath for me with rose water and essential oils and nice music and candles. And he would have the towel all prepared. He would like have everything so beautifully arranged. Okay. And the whole point is, if I'm going to go into that bathtub, that's a good 40 minutes that I'm in there. Okay. And so he would do that knowing he has 40 minutes to steal from me, to lie to me, to set up all his, whores that he was going to be setting up to meet in the meantime. The point is, I'm in the bathtub going, oh my gosh, my guy is so amazing. He just set me up a bath and he understands how hard I work and that I'm really doing all this for us and for our businesses. And meanwhile, I'm believing that. And in reality, I'm in the bathtub relaxing and he's doing drugs. He's making drug deals. He's running to the corner and getting his next stash of drugs. He's making a lineup with a whore for the same night. After I've fallen asleep, he's going to have some whore that he's going to meet. This is what addicts in active addiction are truly going to do. And in addition to that, be mindful of your space. And what I mean by that is, I was so busy managing the business, the volunteer work, driving him to all these places because of his medical condition, driving myself to all my own appointments and going to the gym, etc. And the bottom line is, while I was busy, I wasn't being as meticulously clean as I would have been if I didn't have all these extra errand activities. But the bottom line is, he got me so busy that I wasn't able to see the things that were falling through the cracks. Okay. So he was taking the baseboards down around the apartment, and he was taking them down and taping with duct tape heroin needles and cocaine packs and heroin packs of drugs all on the baseboards, so that at one just click of his foot, he could pop them down, take the drugs in all these different rooms. But meanwhile, I don't know this is going on. I'm not paying attention to baseboards in a corner in a closet. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, again, it's like they're so conniving and sneaky. They're going to do the drugs right in front of you and not even going to know it. So I'm going to talk about a couple scriptures. You can read some of them on your own, and I'm going to read a couple of them out loud. So reread Deuteronomy 22-21 about being promiscuous and that people were stoned to death for their promiscuity. Exodus 21:10, read that as well. Deuteronomy 28:30, you will be pledged to be married to a woman, but another will take her and rape her. You will build a house, but you will not live in it. You will plant a vineyard, but you will not even begin to enjoy its fruit. Now, that verse in particular is very similar to our situation, because the point is, here I am in the Word believing that I have found a godly man, and in reality he's lying over all of his narcissism and drug addiction and lies and manipulation. And so I'm engaged and pledged to be his, but meanwhile he himself is whoring himself out to all these strange women and whores and drug addicts, because he's a drug addict, and that's what drug addicts do. They do sex and drugs together. That's what they do. So meanwhile, I'm building all of these assets and things for this house that we purchased and this lifestyle that we were building for our businesses. So I'm in the building zone of build. And meanwhile, he's coming behind me and he's stealing from all the things I've built, all the storage lockers we had to hold the things that we were then going to put into the house. He's going behind me to the storage lockers and selling those things. So the bottom line is, this is what addicts do. I'm trying to, wipe the veil away so that you can see what the real truth is of addicts. This is what they're going to do to you. Okay, 2 Samuel 12:11. The Lord says, because of what you have done, I will cause you and your own household to rebel against you. I will give your wives to another man before your very eyes, and he will go to bed with them in public view. Now, here's the bottom line. Again, what Eric was doing in his addiction was absolutely wrong. Meanwhile, I am totally clueless that any of this is going on until I see him and catch him in the addiction. And in his period of being in treatment centers and recovery houses and all that, I have already crossed the line, built a boundary, and said, no more. Like, I will be your friend, hoping and praying for your recovery, but I am not participating in any of this sex before marriage. I'm not participating in any of this craziness that you do while you're in drug addiction. And I'm not going to subject myself to any of your craziness. So I was already on the outside, like going, I hope that I can marry you. I'm praying that you're going to get your crap together. But in the meantime, I'm going to stay chaste and I'm not going to be caught up in all of your crazy drama and lies. Okay. Now, at some point, I was somewhere and some guy, came on to me and I stopped his advances and I was like, stop it. And I was like, I appreciate your flattery, but that's enough. And I then addressed Eric to this guy and how he was coming on to me. And it just so happens that this guy was also at one of these recovery treatment houses. And whatever Eric was bragging about what he had with me, this guy was becoming jealous of what Eric was bragging about. So then this guy was trying to personally attack me and, crush down, quote, the relationship that I had with Eric and myself because he was trying to step in and steal me away from Eric. Now, the point is, I wasn't going to be subject to either one of their stupid plans. Okay. So I pulled myself back and was like, look, you're both crazy. Now deal with your own, stuff together inside a treatment and talk to your managers or supervisors or whatever and have them help you sort this out. Well, sure enough, one of them gets out and then he's dead. And then Eric gets out and within 3 weeks, he's dead. So the point is, this is the life of drug addicts and their whore habits and their jealousy and their rage. It's craziness upon craziness upon craziness, okay? Nehemiah 13:25. So I confronted them and I called down a curse on them. I beat some of them and pulled out their hair. I made them swear in the name of God that they would not let their children intermarry with pagans. Okay, so here's the bottom line.